I've deleted Tinder permanently now, but I still can't shake the feeling that he's watching me. 7 months have passed since everything happened. 7 months since I learned that gut feelings aren't paranoia. They're survival instincts we've evolved over thousands of years. And I almost ignored mine completely. People always say to trust your instincts when dating online. Meet in public places. Tell your friends where you're going. Share your location. I did all of that. I followed every safety rule I'd ever heard. But sometimes the danger isn't obvious. Sometimes it doesn't announce itself with crude messages or aggressive behavior. Sometimes it wears a nice smile and knows exactly what to say to make you doubt yourself. I'm sharing this story because I need you to understand something. When something feels wrong, it is wrong. You don't need proof. You don't need to be polite. You just need to listen. It started like every other match. A profile that seemed normal, messages that felt safe, and a decision I thought was harmless. His profile was so normal it was almost boring, and that's exactly what made me trust him. My name is Maya. I'm 27 years old. I work as a marketing coordinator for a small tech company. I live in a mid-sized city with my roommate Jess. We share a 2-bedroom apartment in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it's home. I'd been single for about 8 months when this happened. My last relationship ended amicably. We just wanted different things. He took a job in another state and I wasn't ready to leave my life here. We parted as friends. No drama. But after months of being alone, I started to feel ready to meet someone new. My friends had been encouraging me to try dating apps. Jess met her boyfriend on Bumble. Another friend had success with Hinge. I was reluctant at first. The whole thing felt artificial. But one Friday night after a particularly lonely week, I downloaded Tinder. I set up my profile carefully. Used recent photos. Nothing too revealing or too filtered. Just me. My bio was simple and honest. Marketing professional. Coffee enthusiast. I am an amateur cook. Looking for something real. I started swiping. Most profiles didn't interest me. Too many gym selfies. Too many guys holding fish. Too many bios that were either blank or trying way too hard to be funny. But then I saw David's profile. It was refreshingly normal. His first photo showed him smiling at the camera. Nice eyes. The second photo was him with a golden retriever. The third showed him at a coffee shop with a book. The fourth was a hiking photo with mountains in the background. His bio was simple. David, 29. Accountant. I love good food, bad puns, and long walks with my dog Cooper. Looking for someone who doesn't take life too seriously. It was perfect. Not flashy. Not trying too hard. Just normal. We matched on a Tuesday afternoon. He messaged first. Hey Maya. Your profile mentioned you love cooking. What's your specialty? It was a real question. Not, hey, or some pickup line. An actual conversation starter. I responded. We started talking about food. He said he was terrible at cooking but great at appreciating other people's cooking. He asked what I did for work. I asked about his dog. He sent pictures of Cooper. A beautiful golden retriever with the sweetest face. We talked for 5 days. The conversations were easy, natural. He asked thoughtful questions about my job, my hobbies, and my favorite places in the city. He shared stories about his work, his family, his college years. He seemed genuine. Normal. On Saturday, he suggested we meet for coffee. There's a great place downtown called Roasted. Would you want to grab coffee there Sunday afternoon? 2 o'clock? It's pretty busy, so we won't have to yell over noise, but public enough to feel safe. I appreciated that he acknowledged the safety aspect, that he chose a public place, a busy time. It showed awareness and respect. Said yes. I told Jess about the date immediately, showed her his profile. She looked through his photos and gave her approval. Seems normal. Just be careful. Share your location with me. Text me when you get there and when you leave. I agreed. These were our standard protocols. We always looked out for each other. That night, as I was getting ready for bed, I replayed our conversations in my head. Something small nagged at me. At one point during our texting, David had mentioned something about the building where I work. He'd said something like, "Oh, the glass building on 5th Street, right?" I didn't remember telling him the specific building. I'd mentioned I worked in marketing downtown, but not the exact location. Maybe I had mentioned it and forgot. We'd been talking for days. It was easy to lose track of small details. I pushed the thought away. I was overthinking, being paranoid for no reason. The morning of the date, I felt excited and just a tiny bit nervous, the good kind, I thought. He was already sitting at a table when I arrived, facing the door like he'd been waiting to see me walk in. I got to Roasted 5 minutes early. I'm always early, but David was already there, sitting at a small table near the window. The moment I walked through the door, he waved. Big smile. Standing up to greet me. My height. You look great. Thanks. You too. As I sat down, I noticed there was already a cup on the table in front of the empty chair. He gestured to it. I hope this is okay. I got you a vanilla latte. I figured we could skip the line. I stared at the cup. Vanilla latte was my usual order, but I didn't remember telling him that. How did you know I like vanilla lattes? You mentioned it on your profile. I mentally reviewed my profile. I'd mentioned loving coffee, but I hadn't specified vanilla lattes. Had I? Yeah, I guess I did. Thanks. He smiled. Friendly. I sat down and took a sip. It was good. Perfectly made. The conversation started easily. He asked about my week. I asked about him. He told me a funny story about Cooper getting into the trash and spreading garbage all over his apartment. I laughed. It felt natural. He asked about my job. Specific questions. What kind of campaigns was I working on? Did I enjoy the creative side or the strategy side more? Normal questions. Interesting questions. Then he said something that made me pause. I bet the commute is easy for you since you're so close to downtown. I live about 15 minutes from downtown. Not super close. Not far. But I'd never mentioned where I lived. How did you know I live close to downtown? Oh, I just assumed. You mentioned working downtown and you seem like someone who'd want a short commute. It made sense. I let it go. We talked for about an hour. He was charming. Good eye contact. Asked follow-up questions. Remembered details from our text conversations. He told me about his family. His parents were retired and living in Florida. He had a younger sister who was a teacher. He talked about his job at an accounting firm. It sounded boring, but he made it seem interesting by sharing funny stories about eccentric clients. I was starting to relax, starting to think this might actually be a good match. Then his phone started buzzing, over and over. He glanced at it, silenced it. It buzzed again. He silenced it again. This happened 4 times. You can answer that if you need to. No, it's fine. Just work emails. I don't want to be rude. It seemed considerate, respectful, but something about it felt off. Who gets that many urgent work emails on a Sunday afternoon? The weather was nice. Sunny. David suggested we take a walk in the park nearby. It's just a few blocks. We could walk off all this coffee. I hesitated. The park was less crowded than the coffee shop. More isolated. But it was still daytime. Still public. Other people around. Sure, that sounds nice. We walked to the park. It was beautiful. Flowers. A small pond with ducks. We followed a path that wound through the greenery. As we walked, David moved closer. At one point, there was a small branch on the path. Before I could step over it, his hand was on my lower back, gently guiding me around it. The touch was brief, polite, but something about it felt presumptuous. We just met. We weren't at the touching stage yet. He started asking more questions. Personal questions. So you live alone or with roommates? Roommate? That's nice. Having someone around. Yeah. We've been friends since college. Do you keep a pretty regular schedule? Like a 9 to 5 kind of thing? The question felt strange. Specific. Why would he need to know my schedule? It varies. Sometimes I work late. Sometimes I work from home. Just curious. I'm trying to figure out when would be good for a second date. That made sense. Reasonable explanation. But the question still sat wrong in my stomach. We walked for another 20 minutes. He pointed out different birds. Named the trees. He seemed to know a lot about nature. It was impressive. But also, something about the way he spoke felt rehearsed. Like he'd prepared topics to discuss. As we circled back toward where we'd parked, he brought up dinner. I'd love to take you to dinner next week. There's this great Italian place. It's near your apartment, so it'd be convenient for you. My blood went cold. Near my apartment? How do you know where I live? He laughed. Casual. I don't know exactly. I just meant generally in your area. Downtown area. But I never said I lived downtown. I'd only said I worked downtown. I must have mentioned it at some point. You didn't. His smile faltered for just a second, then returned. Well, I just assumed based on our conversation. Most people who work downtown live nearby. I didn't correct him. Didn't tell him I actually lived in a different neighborhood. I just nodded. We reached my car. I unlocked it quickly. This was really nice, Maya. Can I text you about that dinner? Sure. Yeah. I got in. Locked the doors. He waved as I drove away. I said yes to dinner even though every cell in my body was screaming to make an excuse and leave. That night I couldn't sleep, so I did something I'd never done before. I tried to investigate him online. I got home around 5. Jess was on the couch watching TV. How was it? It was fine. Fine good or fine bad? I don't know. Maybe both. He seemed nice, but something felt off. I couldn't explain it. Just little things. He knew stuff I don't think I told him. What? Like my coffee order. Like where I work. Like asking about my schedule in a weird way. Jess muted the TV. Did he seem dangerous? Not dangerous. Just too informed. Trust your gut? I know. But I feel crazy. He didn't actually do anything wrong. I went to my room. Changed into comfortable clothes. Lay in bed scrolling through my phone. My conversation with David was still open in my messages. I read back through 5 days of texts, looking for where I might have mentioned things he seemed to know. I never mentioned vanilla lattes. I never mentioned my specific workplace building. I never said where I lived. At midnight, still wide awake, I did something I'd never done before. I searched for him online. I started with Facebook. Typed in David, his age, our city. Nothing. No profile matched his photos. Instagram. Same search. Nothing. LinkedIn. I knew he said he was an accountant. Searched for accounting firms in our city. Went through employee lists. Couldn't find him. I went back to his Tinder profile. saved his photos, ran them through reverse image search. Nothing. The photos didn't appear anywhere else online. This could mean two things. Either these were brand new photos taken specifically for Tinder, or he was so private he had zero online presence. In this day and age, for someone our age, that was unusual. Not impossible, but unusual. I told myself plenty of people don't use social media. Plenty of people value privacy. It wasn't a red flag, just a preference. But I couldn't shake the feeling. Over the next few days, David texted me regularly. Good morning texts, midday check-ins, good night messages. They were sweet, thoughtful, but also tracking. Good morning. Hope you slept well. Ready for your morning run? I did run in the mornings, but I'd never told him that. I texted back. How did you know I run in the mornings? Lucky guess. You seem like a morning person. Another explanation that made sense on the surface, but felt wrong underneath. The next day he texted, how did that big project at work go? I froze. I'd never mentioned a big project. I'd never talked about work specifics beyond saying I was in marketing. What project? The one you mentioned the other day. I didn't mention any project. Oh, I must be confusing you with someone else. Sorry, someone else? Was he talking to multiple women? That should have been fine. We'd been on one date, but something about it felt like a cover, a lie. I decided to test him. I texted about going to visit my sister over the weekend. I don't have a sister. He responded, that sounds nice. Give her my best. He didn't question it. Didn't say, I didn't know you had a sister. He just accepted the information, filed it away. The next day, I mentioned being allergic to shellfish. I'm not allergic to anything. He responded, good to know. I'll avoid suggesting seafood places. Again, no surprise that I'd never mentioned this before. Just acceptance. I started paying attention to timing. He always texted right after I got home from work. Always around 6:15. Every day. My work schedule varied. Sometimes I left at 5. Sometimes at 6. Sometimes later. But he always texted within 10 minutes of me walking through my apartment door. One day I left work at 4. Got home at 4:30. Sat on the couch. Waited. At 4:40, my phone buzzed. How was work? He didn't know when I got home. He knew when I got home. I went to my phone settings. Checked location services. Tinder was set to while using app. I never left the app open. There was no way he was tracking me through Tinder. But somehow he knew. The dinner date was scheduled for Friday. It is Wednesday now. I seriously considered canceling. But I had no proof of anything wrong. Just feelings. Coincidences. Lucky guesses. Jess asked if I was still planning to go. I don't know. Part of me thinks I'm being paranoid. And the other part? I think something is very wrong. Then don't go. But what if I'm wrong? What if he's just attentive and I'm reading into things? Maya, trust yourself. If it feels wrong, it is wrong. I decided to go to dinner, but I planned to end things afterward. Politely, clearly. Just tell him I wasn't feeling a connection and wish him well. I wore a bright jacket to dinner so Jess could easily spot me if I texted her the emergency code we'd set up. The restaurant he chose wasn't near my apartment like he'd said, it was on the exact block where I lived. I left my apartment at 6:30 for our 7 o'clock reservation. The restaurant was called Marcello's. David had texted me the address. I'd plugged it into my GPS. As I drove closer, my neighborhood started looking familiar. Very familiar. I turned onto my own street. The restaurant was directly across from my apartment building. I sat in my car, parked half a block away, staring at Marcelo's. My heart was racing. This couldn't be a coincidence. He'd chosen a restaurant on my exact street. He knew where I lived. Specifically. Precisely. I should have driven away right then. But I'd come this far. And I was angry now. I wanted answers. I walked into Marcelo's. David was already there, sitting at a table in the back. He stood up when he saw me. Big smile. Maya, you made it. I got us a table in the quiet section. I sat down, hands in my lap so he wouldn't see them shaking. This restaurant is really close to me. I know. I thought it'd be convenient for you. The words hung in the air. I know. Not, oh really, or what a coincidence. Just I know. How do you know where I live, David? He smiled. Didn't miss a beat. You're pretty easy to figure out. What does that mean? It means I pay attention. A waiter came over. David ordered for both of us before I could say anything. We'll have the salmon for her and the ribeye for me. The waiter left. I stared at David. I don't want salmon. His smile tightened. You'll love it. Trust me. I don't eat fish. That was a lie. But I wanted to see how he'd react. Since when? Since always. That's not true. You posted a picture of sushi on your Instagram 2 months ago. My blood turned to ice. You looked at my Instagram? Of course. I wanted to know more about you. But we're not connected on Instagram. My profile is private. I have my ways. He said it with a playful smile. Like it was charming, resourceful, but it was invasive, creepy. What else do you know about me? He leaned back in his chair. Studying me. I know you work at Tech Vibe Marketing. I know you get coffee at Morrison's every morning at 7:45. I know you go to Corfit Gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know your roommate's name is Jessica. I know you usually get home from work around 6:15. I felt sick. He'd been watching me, following me, learning my patterns. How long have you been following me? I'm not following you. I'm getting to know you. Before Tinder. How long before we matched? He paused, took a sip of water. A few weeks. Because I saw you at Morrison's one morning and I thought you were beautiful. I wanted to get to know you, but I couldn't just approach you. You would have thought I was a creep. You are a creep. His expression changed. The smile dropped. Something cold and hard replaced it. Don't say that. I need to leave. I stood up, grabbed my purse. He stood too. Maya, sit down. We haven't even eaten yet. I'm not hungry. I pushed past him, headed for the door. He followed my way. Let me explain. You've been stalking me. I haven't been stalking you. I've been admiring you. There's a difference. I reached the door, stepped outside into the cool evening air. My car was half a block away. I started walking fast. Footsteps behind me. Maya, please. Just listen. I spun around. We were on the sidewalk. Other people around. Cars passing. I felt safer out here than in the restaurant. Stay away from me. His hands were up. Surrendering. I'm not trying to scare you. Well, you've been watching me for weeks. You engineered our match on Tinder. You know where I live, where I work, my routine. That's not romantic. That's stalking. I just wanted to get to know you first. To make sure we were compatible before approaching you. That's not how normal people date. Maybe I'm not normal. Maybe I'm just someone who knows what he wants and goes after it. I turned and kept walking. He didn't follow this time. But I could feel his eyes on me. I got to my car. Fumbled with my keys. Dropped them. Picked them up. Finally got the door unlocked. Got inside. Locked all the doors immediately. I looked in my rearview mirror. David was standing on the sidewalk outside the restaurant. Just standing there, watching my car. I started the engine, drove away, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles were white. "Call Jess?" She answered immediately. "Are you okay? You sound panicked." "I'm coming home. Something really bad just happened." I made it 3 steps outside the restaurant before I saw my car, and the parking ticket tucked under the wiper that I'd gotten 2 days ago and hadn't removed yet. I made it 3 steps outside the restaurant before I saw my car, and the parking ticket tucked under the wiper that I'd gotten 2 days ago and hadn't removed yet. The parking ticket was from Tuesday. I'd parked in a 2-hour zone and lost track of time. It was still on my windshield. I'd been meaning to remove it and pay it online. David would have seen it. If he knew where I lived, if he'd been watching me, he would have seen my car parked outside my building. With that ticket visible, he knew my car, knew where I parked, had probably seen me come and go dozens of times. I got in my car and locked the doors. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely get the key in the ignition. I looked in the rearview mirror. David was still standing on the sidewalk, just watching. I drove straight home, parked in the underground garage instead of on the street, ran to the elevator, got to my apartment. Jess was already opening the door before I could get my key out. "I heard you coming. What happened?" I told her everything. The restaurant location. David admitting he'd seen me before Tinder. Admitting he'd been watching me for weeks. Knowing my routine down to the minute. Looking at my private Instagram somehow. Jess's face went pale. "We're calling the police right now." "And tell them what?" "He hasn't threatened me. He hasn't hurt me. He's been stalking you. But he'd say he was just interested. That he wanted to get to know me. The police won't do anything. We're still calling." We called. An officer came to our apartment around 10 that night. Officer Martinez. She was kind. Took my statement. Wrote everything down. But her face told me what I already knew. "Has he threatened you in any way?" "Not exactly." "Has he tried to hurt you?" "Has he contacted you after you told him to stop?" "I blocked his number in the car on the way home. So no." She sighed. "I believe you. And this is concerning behavior. But legally, there's not much we can do yet. He hasn't committed a crime. He's been following me for weeks. Unfortunately, following someone in public isn't illegal. You can file for a restraining order. I'd recommend it. Document everything. Save all messages. If he contacts you again, don't respond. Just document it." She left me her card. Told me to call if anything escalated. I thanked her. She left. Jess and I sat on the couch in silence. What do we do now? I don't know. That night I blocked David on every platform I could think of. Tinder. His phone number. I went through my Instagram settings and made sure my profile was completely private. Blocked any accounts I didn't recognize. I thought that would be the end of it. At 11:30, my phone buzzed. Instagram DM request. From an account with no profile picture. The username was just random numbers. I opened it. "I know you're scared. I'm not dangerous. I just want to talk. Please don't shut me out." It was him. He'd created a new account to message me. I blocked it. I took a screenshot first. 5 minutes later, another message request. Different accounts. Same type of username. "Maya, this isn't fair. I opened up to you. I was honest. And you're treating me like a criminal." I blocked it. Screenshot. This happened 6 more times that night. Each time from a different account. The messages got more desperate. I did everything right. I was a gentleman. I was interested in you. Do you know how rare that is? Why are you being so cold? I thought we had a connection. You're making a mistake. We're perfect for each other. I stopped responding. Stopped reading them. Just screenshot and block. Jess sat with me the whole time. We're going to the police station first thing in the morning. This is harassment. We went the next day. Filed a formal report. Showed them all the screenshots. This time, with the repeated contact after being blocked, they took it more seriously. They helped me file for a temporary restraining order. The paperwork took hours. I had to detail everything. Every interaction. Every message. Every time he demonstrated knowledge he shouldn't have. 3 days later, I got notice that the temporary restraining order was granted. David would be served papers. He was legally required to stay away from me. For 2 weeks, I heard nothing. No messages. No sightings. Nothing. I started to breathe again. I started to think maybe it was over. Then on a Tuesday, I went to the grocery store. I was in the parking lot putting bags in my trunk when I saw him. He was sitting in a car 3 rows over. Just sitting there. Watching me. Our eyes met. He didn't look away. Didn't start his car. Just stared. I got in my car. Locked the doors. Called 911. Told them someone violating a restraining order was in the parking lot. By the time the police arrived 10 minutes later, he was gone. Blocking him again, I realized that being careful wasn't enough. He'd been 10 steps ahead of me the entire time. For 3 days he found me on every platform I had: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, even Venmo. After the grocery store incident, it got worse. David seemed to take the restraining order as a challenge rather than a boundary. He created fake Facebook accounts and sent friend requests. When I didn't accept, he messaged me through those accounts. I'm still here. You can't get rid of me that easily. He found me on Twitter. I barely used Twitter. Hadn't posted in months. But he found my account and sent DMs. You look beautiful in your profile picture. I miss seeing you smile. LinkedIn. My professional profile. He sent a connection request. When I declined, he messaged anyway. We should work together. I think we'd make a great team. He even found me on Venmo. Send a payment request for 1 cent with the note. Coffee sometime? Each platform I blocked him. Documented it. Sent screenshots to Officer Martinez. She called me in. We have enough for charges now. Stalking and violating the restraining order. We just need to locate him. What do you mean to locate him? We went to his listed address. The apartment he claimed to live in. The landlord said no one by his name has ever lived there. Well, we're starting to think David might not be his real name. My stomach dropped. Who is he? We're working on that. In the meantime, I need you to be very careful. Vary your routine. Don't go anywhere alone if you can help it. I left the station feeling more scared than ever. I didn't even know his real name. Didn't know who was stalking me. That week I changed everything. I took Uber to work instead of driving. Went to a different coffee shop. I switched my gym. Stayed at Jess's parents' house for 3 nights. On Friday, I decided to go back to my apartment to get more clothes. It was 2 in the afternoon. Broad daylight. I thought it would be safe. I pulled into my building's parking garage. As I was getting out of my car, I heard footsteps echoing in the concrete space. David emerged from behind a pillar. I screamed, dropped my keys, backed against my car. He stopped walking, held his hands up. Please don't scream. I just want to talk. You're violating the restraining order. I'm calling the police. I grabbed my phone. He took a step closer. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Then I'll leave and you'll never see me again. My finger was hovering over 911. You've been watching me for months. You lied about who you are. You won't leave me alone. Why would I give you 5 minutes? Because I love you. The words hung in the cold garage air. He said it so simply, so sincerely, like it explained everything. You don't love me. You don't even know me. I know everything about you. I know you take your coffee with 2 sugars. I know you bite your lip when you're concentrating. I know you listen to sad music when it rains. I know you better than anyone. That's not love. That's an obsession. Call it what you want. But what we have is real. And you're throwing it away because you're scared. I pressed 911. The operator answered. I need help. Someone's violating a restraining order. I'm in my building's parking garage. I gave the address. David didn't move. Just watched me with sad eyes. They'll be here in minutes. You should leave. Fine. I'll go. But Maya, this isn't over. You can't run from this. He turned and walked calmly toward the exit. By the time police arrived 7 minutes later, he was gone. But this time, the building had security cameras. They caught him on footage. Clear shot of his face. Finally, concrete evidence. The police took the footage, ran his face through their system. 2 days later, Officer Martinez called me. We identified him. His real name is Eric Lawson. He has a history. 2 previous stalking charges in another state. Restraining orders from 2 other women. He's been doing this for years. A warrant was issued. Eric was arrested 3 days later, charged with stalking, violating a restraining order, and criminal harassment. He made bail, but the condition was staying away from me. GPS monitoring. Check-ins with probation. I moved. Got a new apartment in a different neighborhood. I changed my hair. Changed my routine. Started therapy. That was 7 months ago. I haven't seen him since his arrest. But I don't feel safe. The restraining order is just paper. It doesn't make you feel safe. It just makes you feel like you have permission to be afraid. I still check over my shoulder every time I leave my apartment. I don't use dating apps anymore. I probably never will again. The idea of putting my face and information out there for strangers to see makes my skin crawl. I've changed in ways I don't think I can undo. I'm suspicious of kindness. I question every coincidence. I assume the worst of people until they prove otherwise. Some people might call that cynical. I call it survival. I'm sharing this story because I want you to understand something crucial. That feeling of wrongness I had from the very first date? That wasn't paranoia. That wasn't me being dramatic or overreacting. That was my instinct trying to protect me. Trust your gut, boys. Even when you can't explain why something feels off. Even when you don't have proof. Even when someone seems perfect on paper. Especially then. If something feels wrong, it probably is, and you don't need to wait for proof to protect yourself.